This woman survived falling from a plane, alone in the ocean for 14 months. What would you do if your pilot suddenly loses consciousness? Stay tuned if you would like to learn more about these real-world stories. On the 26th of January 1972, Vesna Vulovic was a flight attendant on board JAT Yugoslav Airlines Flight 367. The flight path between Stockholm in Sweden and Belgrade in Serbia took the aircraft over Czechoslovakia, now the Czech Republic, and that is where the plane exploded into 3 pieces. The explosion and crash killed everyone on board, everyone except Vesna, who survived a fall of 33,333 feet. That's 10,160 meters. 50 years on, this remains the highest fall survived without a parachute ever. Vesna's miraculous survival was attributed to her being pinned down by a food cart in the tail end of the plane. Despite her injuries, Vulovic went on to work as an aviation safety consultant and became a well-known public figure in her home country of Yugoslavia. She died in 2016 at the age of 66. The 2010 Copiapo mining accident occurred in October 2010 when a group of 33 miners were trapped underground in the San Jose mine near Copiapo, Chile. The miners were trapped when a cave-in occurred at the mine, and it took over 2 months for rescue teams to reach them. The rescue operation was a major international news story and was closely followed by media outlets around the world. It was a complex and risky operation that involved drilling a rescue shaft down to the location where the miners were trapped. The miners were eventually rescued in October 2010, one by one, in a specially designed capsule that was lifted to the surface. The miners were all in good health when they were rescued and received medical attention as needed. The rescue was hailed as a major success, and the miners were hailed as heroes for their bravery and resilience during their time underground. When passenger Darren Harrison heard his pilot say he wasn't feeling well and saw him suddenly slump over the controls of the single-engine plane, sending it into a nosedive, he sprung into action. Harrison was one of 2 passengers in the Cessna 208 flying from the Bahamas to Florida when the pilot became incapacitated. Despite having no flying experience, Harrison climbed over 3 rows of seats into the cockpit, moved the pilot out of his seat, and scrambled to put on a pair of headphones and make contact with air traffic control, all as the plane was heading down. He contacted air traffic control and said, "I've got a serious situation here. My pilot has gone incoherent. I have no idea how to fly the airplane." At first, Harrison didn't know where the aircraft he was flying was even located. With help from air traffic controllers, he was told to fly ahead and start a gradual descent. As he neared Palm Beach, Florida, a part-time flight instructor with experience piloting Cessna aircraft was called from his break to help out. Departures at the Palm Beach International Airport were halted, emergency responders were dispatched, and vehicles and aircraft were moved away from the runway to make space. With the help of the flight instructor, Harrison started going in for landing. Miraculously, he managed to land the plane safely without any injuries. Salvador Alvarenga is a Salvadoran fisherman who became known for his survival story after being lost at sea for over a year. In November 2012, Alvarenga set out on a fishing trip off the coast of Mexico, but his boat got broken and he was swept out to sea. He drifted across the Pacific Ocean for over a year, surviving on fish and other seafood that he caught and drinking rainwater. Alvarenga was eventually rescued in January 2014 on the Marshall Islands, more than 6,700 miles from where he had set out. His story was widely reported in the media and became the subject of controversy, with some people doubting the authenticity of his account. George Pickering is a man who gained national attention in 2015 after he was involved in a standoff with police at a hospital in Texas. Pickering had gone to the hospital to visit his son, who was in a coma and on life support, and reportedly became upset when the doctors told him that they will pull his son off life support. Pickering pulled out a gun and barricaded himself in a room with his son and a hospital worker and refused to come out, leading to a standoff with police that lasted several hours. During those hours, his son squeezed his hand 4 times on command. His son was clearly alive despite the doctors telling him he was brain dead and that they would slowly put him off life support. Pickering was eventually taken into custody. His son made a full recovery, but Mr. Pickering was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. He spent 11 months in jail before he got released.